And as you know, the City of Elizabeth and the Mayor and the City Council have worked closely together for years to develop housing, economic opportunities, and jobs throughout our city. And I'm pleased to be joined by the Councilman of the First Ward, Councilman Manny Grover. Councilman, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Mayor?
How are your holidays?
Very good.
That's good. Kids get everything they want?
Not really, but we try to do as best we can. Santa gets a little overflow coming to my house.
Yeah, he probably gets stuck there.
3 kids is tough.
You know, the First Ward, Hope 6, Jersey Gardens, both have had anniversaries this year. These projects have meant a lot to the residents of the First Ward, as well as the business community of the First Ward. As a supporter of both projects, maybe you can tell us a little bit about, from your point of view, how they've affected your ward and your constituents.
Well, obviously, the Jersey Gardens Mall was a very big economic stimulus for our city. It brings thousands of jobs. A lot of the residents that live in the First Ward work there. They shop there. It's very close to our neighborhood, and it's been very instrumental in bringing financing to the city also in UEZ dollars and other pilot dollars. But the Hope 6 program, for those who remember the Elizabethport community and the old antiquated housing projects, the Hope 6 program was very helpful. It got rid of that stigma. We've built brand new housing there, and everyone who lives in them now has their own front door and their own place to live, which is modern housing, which is really nice.
And the issue of crime without the courtyards has, you know, as in other parts of the city, we always have certain issues, but it's decreased tremendously.
Oh, absolutely. The crime since Pioneer Homes and McGlory Manor have been eliminated has drastically reduced in our neighborhood. We had no homicides last year at all down there, and we had very little violent crime. We had very little burglaries. Our crime down there is drastically reduced compared to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and a lot has to do with that. You see, when you have those big buildings, although the concept was great in the 1930s and 1940s, more recently those big buildings just harbor an opportunity for people to hide in the hallways, and the Hope 6 concept of having a front door for every unit is very good, not only for the people who live there, but also for crime fighting.
Now, if anybody has been a victim of a crime, we don't mean to lessen that at all, but based on statistics, it's gone down, and we just need to keep fighting the fight.
Oh yeah, it's not paradise, as I always tell people, but we've had a lot of cooperation with the police department and with the residents, and it's helped reduce the crime.
Development is always important, and based on the economic times over the last year, things have slowed down. But you're still working on some other development proposals, and maybe you can talk about what's next for the First Ward.
Well, we went through a big residential boom over the last 10 years, capped with the Hope 6 concept. However, there's still a last phase, which is the for sale housing, and that's ongoing. We're hoping that once the economy turns around a little bit, that part of it, the last phase of for sale housing, actually gets built and occupied. But we're now turning to some more commercial and some senior housing. There is a new plan approved by our planning board to build a supermarket, as you're aware, and we're hoping that will come through very soon. That'll service the community down there. Includes a pharmacy, a supermarket, a strip mall, and bring jobs to the neighborhood. The other building that's been approved also is a senior building, which is going to be on First Street and Bond, which will also have some commercial space on the first floor. And it's my hope those two projects will bring some construction jobs and it'll obviously bring regular jobs to the neighborhood, as well as far as a senior building, it'll service that area of the community for people who've lived down there and don't want to leave.
You know, that's a really good point, because the senior building is going to have the distinction that would be the gold LEED certified in the state, and it's a significant development considering green energy and also keeping seniors who want to stay there.
Correct. We obviously the big turnaround that's been passed down through our president recently is to try to get green in this country and try to save resources, and the concept that's being used to build that senior building is one of those buildings that are going to be as green as possible, and we're hoping that that'll start a domino effect for other projects.
You know, Councilman, the foreclosures often make headlines, but in your ward, Brand New Day has an office in your ward, and the Elizabeth Home Improvement Program works with Brand New Day to help residents keep their homes. How's the ward doing?
Well, we being the benefit of a lot of new construction over the years, we also have the unfortunate situation, which is we have some houses that are under foreclosure. But the programs that Brand New Day has put forth through EHIP has been very helpful. They step in, they help the homeowners modify their loans with the banks, and they really try to coordinate different ways for people to keep their homes.
Brand New Day and the Elizabeth Home Improvement Program, in trying to work with folks, it's always very difficult because sometimes people, and as an attorney, they don't tell you up front. They don't tell you early enough. They're ashamed. The word that we need to get out to people is, if you're having financial issues, call us.
Right. See, the problem you have with a lot of these people, as you mentioned, is that if you're a homeowner and you start falling behind your mortgage, you know, after the second or third month, you got to start making some phone calls, because once it gets to the point where now you're in the 7th or 8th month of being behind on your mortgage payment, well, guess what? The bank's going to turn that over to an attorney to initiate foreclosure, and that's going to build up extra costs. And more times than not, once a bank has turned over a note that's been in default to an attorney, it's a lot harder to negotiate.
And sometimes people then get extremely frustrated, and then they say the government's not helping. But if they called us early, we could probably intervene in some way, at least negotiate a lower interest rate or something to that effect.
That is true.